Are going to get going. My name is Ellen Denman. I'm a trainer here at REMN Wholesale, and I would like to welcome everyone to our demonstration on REMN Wholesale's new tool. It's available on the broker portal to assist you in producing a loan estimate. This enhancement is called the Loan Estimate Generator, or LEG. The LEG system is putting you, the broker, in the driver's seat and allowing you to retain control of the loan transaction. The original LE that you send to your borrowers will be considered the initial LE, and therefore you can collect fees from your borrowers after the LE is delivered and when you receive the signed intent to proceed back from them. You will no longer have to wait for REMN Wholesale to give you the day on which you can start to collect fees. So a couple of housekeeping items. All participants are in listen-only mode. If you do have a question, please feel free to submit one in the question area. We will probably get to a few questions at the end of the demonstration. I would like to mention I'll be able to answer any system-related questions. If you have some real compliance-related questions, we will be putting together an FAQ and posting it on the website, bringing those questions to our compliance department to get them answered for you. Can everyone see my screen? If a couple folks would just write in yes, I'd appreciate it. Make sure. Thank you very much. Yes, you can see my screen. For right now, we're going to take a couple of minutes to go over some changes in our overall workflow before we actually go into the demonstration. So you're just going to see this login screen going into the broker portal just for a moment or two. Just want to make sure that everyone is aware that we do have a couple additional items that will be required at the time of loan submission now because of TRID. Of course, we're going to require your loan estimate, an itemization of fees, an intent to proceed signed by all borrowers, the broker submission sheet, and if you could please go onto our website and download the new one that we have. There will be a couple of spots for your broker contact email information. We do want to make sure that the email addresses you provide to us on the broker submission sheet are good because they will follow that loan from opening through to closing. So we want to make sure that we are able to get in touch with you. There's also a new broker compensation certificate that will be required. And there are some questions specific to TRID on that, so we do ask that you use the new one. If the loan is a purchase, we're going to ask for the sales contract right up front. And of course, the 1003 and credit report are required at loan submission. We will need email addresses for all borrowers and also title-only parties to the transaction so that we can request e-consent and have the ability to redisclose as well as send the CD via e-disclosure. One of the things that has changed a little bit, and no, I'm not showing these forms. We're just going over some of this stuff before we get into the demo. If there are any parties to the transaction that will be in title only, they're not actually going to be borrowers on our mortgage, they are required to receive the CD 3 specific business days prior to closing, as well as the mortgage borrowers. So that's why we would like to get the e-consent requested and handled as soon as possible in the process, so we're not holding up closings because of that. Another change with TRID is that REMN Wholesale is required to send all redisclosures and, of course, the closing disclosure directly to the borrowers, not to the brokers. You will be receiving those redisclosures and the CD via email, but we do have to send them directly to the borrowers. So we would like to ask you, our brokers, to inform your borrowers that they will be receiving requests for e-consent and then receiving disclosures via email as long as they accept that e-consent. One more point before we get into the demo. You are all used to closing your loans quickly here at REMN Wholesale. We certainly hope to be able to continue to provide you with that same fabulous service and comply with the new closing disclosure requirements now in place. We have developed a closing disclosure checklist that will also be available on the website so that you can provide all the items required in order to generate and send a CD. And again, we will be relying on you, our business partners, to provide these items as soon as possible in the process so that you can then request a CD. After you put in a request on the portal, it will be generated as long as all these items have been received and reviewed. So now, let's go to the portal so you can see the new leg system. We are going to be signing into our test site so we can change things up and I don't mess anything up. I do want to point out the browsers that our leg system works best with is Google Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer version 11. So if you have any problem getting into it, you might want to try switching browsers. Now we're signed into our test site, although all these items are available on the portal now, so you can go and check them out. I do want to point out under Actions now, there is a new tab, Request a CD. So once we have all the required items, you can go in and request the CD, and then request the closing once we've delivered the CD to your borrowers. So now going to Tools, right underneath the AUS Pending Pipeline is our Loan Estimate Generator. Simply click on the tab, and it will bring you right into the system. If you are a user who is associated with several branches of your organization, you will be able to click this drop-down button and choose whichever branch you want to work within here. The Create New Transaction area here is where we're going to browse and import a 3.2 to generate the loan estimate. And just to point out down here, my transactions are all listed here. So anything this particular user, has uploaded here and run a loan estimate on, you can go into them. You can click on the number in the transaction ID column, and you can go back into it, reprint it, revise it. Recent branch transactions show everything for this branch that has been uploaded. And search results will show anything that you have searched for. So I'm going to go back to my transactions, and we are going to browse and upload a file. So I'm just going to my 3.2s and simply click on Import. And this will bring us right to the Loan Estimate Details tab. You can see once you're in an actual transaction, you would navigate through all the different screens on the top through these tabs. So the first thing you're going to do upon import is be in the Loan Estimate Details. Within Loan Estimate Details, there are two tabs, Loan Details and Subject Property, that have required fields on both of those tabs that you will fill in. The header on the top here, of course, pulls over from your 3.2. The items here are not editable. Okay, you can only do your edits down here within the body of the page. So going into the loan details, the first thing is your mortgage type. This one happens to be an FHA, and of course that will come over from your 3.2. If you look at the drop down, so you've got conventional, FHA, USDA, and VA. Underneath mortgage type is product. So you've got your conforming fixed, your ARMs, and high balance. Also good to note under conventional, one of the product types, of course, will be jumbo. Once you choose the product, the loan term will be auto-filled here in the loan term field. Interest rate is an editable field. So it came over from the 3.2, it's 4.5. I can change this to 4.25. And now that I've changed it to 4.25, it actually did change in the header up here. So that field, if you change it here, it will change the header. If this were an ARM, you would choose the ARM plan. The margin will be auto-filled, and you do put in the index. Program, if this is a Reno loan or a Streamline, you simply pick whichever one it is down here. This one happens to be a purchase, so the sales price came over on the 3.2. Market value remains the same. And anything with a red asterisk is a required field. Loan amount was $241,250 on my 3.2. Now this is an important button to note. Your add MI, MIP, or guarantee fee. So anytime you have one of those items, you would click on here. And you can see the upfront MIP factor and the annual MIP factor are preloaded in here. It gives you the upfront amount due, and the amount financed is editable. In case they don't want to finance it, you can change that dollar amount. The system auto-calculates the monthly payment that goes along with that annual MIP factor, and then you can just click Save. That has pulled into the mortgage insurance financed the total amount. I just left it as the total would be financed. And now you've got your total loan amount. The system will calculate that for you once it calculates the MIP. The next very important field would be your broker compensation. So I'm going to click on that and show you some of the options that are available here. Now the interest rate is not editable here. That was the interest rate we entered under the loan details section. So if you want to change that, you can just hit cancel and go back and change that. The total price you would put in would be your total price, including any loan level pricing adjustments. If you use lender paid comp, you will be asked to either use our plan or no, use another lender's plan. So if you choose yes, use our plan, your broker comp that you are signed up with REMN Wholesale for is preloaded in here. So this particular broker in the test site, they're at 2.75%. If we choose no, now the broker compensation field is editable. So REMN Wholesale's management is allowing you to use this leg to produce a loan estimate that you could bring anywhere. So if you wanted to send this loan estimate to another lender and say you have, broker compensation with this other lender, you're signed up for 2.5, then you can change it and put that in there. If you choose borrower paid, of course it zeroes out then the broker compensation. You put your total price in here, and then you would then under the loan estimate fees, there will be a selection to put in any origination points that your borrower will pay. For our illustrative purposes here, let's go back to lender paid, and we're going to choose yes, use our plan, because of course you want to send your loan here to REMN Wholesale, and we will put in the total price. So let's say it's a negative 2.5%. Your broker comp with us is 2.75%, so then your origination points to the borrower would be 0.25%. So it will show on the loan estimate that 0.25% will be charged to the borrower. That looks good. That is what pricing is. So let's just click Save. And now you can see here in origination credits or points, you do have origination points of 0.25%. On a purchase, you also have the option of adding a seller credit or a purchase money deposit here, although not required. Rate locked. That is a required field. If you choose yes, if the rate is locked, it is required that you put in the lock period as well as the expiration date. If I choose no, obviously you don't have to fill in those other fields. Escrow waived, the system does automatically default to no, the escrows will not be waived. They will have an escrow account, but it is editable. You can change that if you like. So now we filled out our first screen, and we simply go up here to the tab, Subject Property. Here, the address that was on your 3.2, of course, will be imported in. There is a USPS check where you can validate that the address that was entered is a valid USPS address. Property type, project classification, and number of units are required fields. If they are not filled out on your 3.2, you will be required to fill them in here. Monthly hazard insurance and monthly real estate taxes will, again, also pull over from your 3.2. They can be edited here as well. Now, because this was an FHA and we had monthly mortgage insurance, that did automatically pre-fill here on this screen. So everything looks good here. We can now move to our next tab, which would be loan estimate fees. You can see the origination points, that quarter point pulls right over. The mortgage insurance premium is here. Homeowners insurance and property tax escrow. These are zeroed items. You are required to go in and indicate the annual amount and how many months we should collect at closing. Also, to point out to you, the HUD line number column, anything listed in black lettering here is non-editable. If it is blue, then you can edit it. And you simply click on the number, and they've made it easy for us. They've labeled everything with the HUD line numbers so that since everyone is used to using the HUD line numbers, it will be easy to identify. Real important to note, in the editing escrow section, you do need to put in the annual amount that's due, not the monthly. So the system will calculate it for you. So you put the annual amount due. The system defaults to 3 months, but you can change it. Make it 2, 1, 4, whatever you would like, whatever will be required. And then you simply click Save. And the same with the tax escrow. I put the annual amount in. System defaults to 3 months being collected, and you click Save. So now you have these items. We've got 3 months of homeowners, 3 months of property taxes. Great, good to go. Now you're going to navigate along these tabs here within the loan estimate fee screen. So the next thing that you want to do is generate the lender fees. And that's going to pull in REMN Wholesale fees, title fees, recording, and state tax fees. So now you've got our underwriting fee, pre-populates. That is an editable field. If you want to buy out the underwriting fee, you can do so here. Again, if you are bringing this loan estimate to another lender, you can simply edit this underwriting fee amount to whichever lender you're going to use it, whatever their fee might be. Our flood certification fee comes over, and again, on conventional loans, we will now have a tax service fee of $83. Since this is FHA, this is not coming over. So now you've got, oh, and this is a purchase, so you can see the system automatically calculates a year of homeowners insurance, since they will have to pay that. You've got all your title fees in here, the 1,100 fees, which are editable, and then you've got any recording or if there were city, county tax stamps to be paid. Those are not editable. So let's say I want to change my lender's title. I simply click on the blue 1104 line, and now I know it's not going to be 1112. The title company they're using says quoted 1300. You just click Save. Now it will show a green check mark in the fee rule modified. So you'll always be able to go back and say, oh, okay, that's right, I modified that fee. Okay, that's all you needed to modify as far as the title fees go for now. Now you can go on to the new fee tab. So we just click on that. Again, everything's listed as the HUD line, the old HUD line numbers. This drop down here, it's a pretty extensive list of fees that you can choose from. But this is where you're going to add all your fees. So let's say now you want to add your appraisal fee. Let's put 500 in and save. So now it shows this is a manual fee. You can always delete it by just clicking on the trash can that's there. Do want to point out to you on the new fees tab, if you look at the drop down, it is pretty extensive. However, there may be a fee that you need to add that is not shown here as a drop down. So in the 1300 fees, 1308 and 1309, we have made available freeform. Borrower can shop both prepaid and non-prepaid. And then lines 1314 and 1315 are freeform. Borrower cannot shop prepaid and non-prepaid. Okay, so you could simply fill this in. I'm pretty sure we have termite fee listed, but let's just put in termite inspection, $300, and choose Save, just so you can see how it does populate. Will populate down at the bottom. Termite inspection, $300. Again, this is a manual fee that you can delete. So now you've got all your fees added in. Now you can go, again, moving left to right, you can go to your Mortgage Broker Info tab. If the required items are on your 3.2, your mortgage broker company, NMLS ID number, loan officer along with their NMLS ID number, phone number, and email address. As long as these are on the 3.2, they'll be pre-filled here. And then you can simply generate your LE. Click the Generate LE button. And it just takes maybe 10 seconds or so to generate the document. Of course, there we go. Now, depending on, I think, the browser that you use, sometimes it will generate right in this box. Now, on mine, it just generated a PDF down at the bottom. I click on the download button, and it will pop right up. The first page is an itemization of amount financed, so that you can simply print this and use it for your loan submission to us. Page 2, start your loan estimate. So you can review that. I know everyone's familiar with it so far, but I do like to point out, on page 2 of the loan estimate, we did choose a 0.25% charge to the borrower. So that does show here under Section A, origination charges. And just so you remember, if you're using lender paid compensation, that does not show anywhere on the loan estimate. So if there is an additional charge to the borrower, that will show here. If we had chosen a credit, that would show under Section J, under lender credits. And I'm going to go back and show you how that works in a couple minutes. Then on page 3, as you can see, the lender is not pre-filled for you, so you do have the ability to take this to another lender should you wish to. And all your mortgage broker information is here. The other consideration items have been pre-filled for you, so you don't have to worry about that either. So now you can print this out, deliver it to your borrower, and you're good to go. So I'm going to X out of here, click OK. I'm going to return to the import page, which you can do from anywhere within the system. Now from here, I can browse and upload another 3.2, or I can go back to any one of my previous transactions. I'm going to click on the one we just put in. It brings you right to the historical transactions. You can click on View LE and view the LE again, print it out. But let's say, gosh, I did make a mistake. That was a quarter charge to the borrower on this LE. It really should have been a quarter credit. So I go back to loan estimate details, clicking on that tab. I go back into the broker compensation, and I just change the pricing. It should have been a -3. And now you can see with my broker comp at 2 3/4, my origination credit is now a quarter. And I simply click Save. It shows out here on the loan details screen now as a credit rather than a charge. So what I can do now is immediately go to the Mortgage Broker Info tab and generate the LE. But no, and I did that on purpose, so you see the error. Anytime you make a change to the loan estimate details, you do have to navigate back to the Loan Estimate Fees tab and click the Generate Lender Fees button before attempting to click the Generate LE button. So just click OK here. Go back to the Loan Estimate Fees and generate the lender fees again. Now it will ask you to please confirm that you wish to retain any modified system fees. Since we had modified that title insurance fee, you want to make sure that, yes, the system retains that. If you do click no, it will go back to what we originally had pulled in. So now you can see, yes, it retained that fee that we had modified. My manual fees remained here. Everything looks great. Now I really can go back to Mortgage Broker Info and generate the LE one more time. It should come up just a moment. Of course, it always takes a little bit longer in the test site. So as soon as I want it to work quickly, it takes a little bit longer. There we go. So now we have our new LE. Again, the itemization is the first page that you will see. And I'm going to go to page 2 of the loan estimate, so you can see now it's 0% of the loan amount because there is no longer a 1/4% charge from the revisions that we made. You can see in section J, there is now a lender credit of a 1/4%. And again, lender paid comp does not show on here anywhere. So again, now you can print this, deliver it to your borrower. I'm going to X out of here, say OK. And now you see if you go to historical transactions, you will see you've got the 2 LEs that were produced. I'm going to return to the import page so you can once again see that. You can browse and import your 3.2. That really covers the demonstration that we have on the leg system. I think that you'll find it to be a very user-friendly system and very easy to navigate. So what I do want to do is check for questions now before we conclude the call. So just hang in one moment. Okay. So each broker to supply their own LE without a lender, correct? Was one question. Yes. We are asking the brokers to send the initial LE, and yes, without a lender. Can REMN Wholesale send the CD to the title company so that the borrower can receive this in person to shorten the closing date over mailing? The title company will receive a copy of the CD. Our closers will be working closely with the settlement agents to produce the CD, but we are required to deliver that CD to the borrower. That is why we're asking for the e-consent, so that we can deliver it via email. And then, of course, they do have the 3 specific business days to review that CD before we can set up a closing date. Okay, we have a question. So pricing doesn't import into the pricing field. Yes, you do have to price it to know what the pricing is before completing this. Yes. And what about the service provider? Who are we using for title fees that they are auto-populating? We are using a service called Linear Title. I think the service is actually called Linear Title Services. And they have a software available that we can call out to that pulls in those title fees. Basically, we cannot close if we don't have a generated LE. Yes, that is correct. I mean, the loan estimate is replacing your good faith estimate, so and your initial truth in lending. So yes, you do have to generate an LE. You can do it from your own LOS. You don't have to use ours. Can we edit non-editable fees? No, unfortunately, like those 1,200 fees are not editable within our system. So do the LE, have the e-consent signed by borrower, request CD, then request closing. That's, yeah, a real basic timeline. Yes, you guys will send the LE, deliver it to your borrowers, make sure that they know that e-consent will be coming to them via their email addresses. They have to accept electronically. Then once we have all the items, you, the broker, can request a CD and then request a closing. Okay, do you have a scheduler for the inbound schedule that REMN likes to use? I am not sure what that question is. So are we putting Linear Title as the title company on the service provider? You can use, depending on, that's a really good question. If you have to use Linear Title, or you can change the title fees to the service provider that is on your list. And I will get back to you. That will be a good FAQ question. If you guys have to use Linear as your service provider. Okay, for the number of months to collect for reserves, does REMN have a schedule we can use? No, that's really up to the broker to decide. We are defaulting to 3 months. That's generally a safe estimate for escrows, but you guys as the broker, knowing your area and knowing when taxes will be collected would put that in. I think that pretty much I don't see any additional questions coming in. Again, we do plan to have an FAQ available on the website. There is another question. The mortgage loan disclosure statement is still required in California. That's really a compliance question. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer for that. That is something that we're going to have to go to compliance on, but thank you. I know that has come up before, and we do have to get with compliance on that. Just last call for any last-minute questions. Otherwise, I would like to thank everyone very much for your time this afternoon. If you have any questions on our leg system, feel free to contact myself, your AE, our help desk, and we are here to help. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.